Welcome to Symbolic Word. Today we're going to talk about Dalet, the fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Dalet literally means a doorway, and that doorway is the doorway to Yahweh's house. Gimmel, which has come to symbolize the rich man, is the opposite of Dalet, who is the poor man. Dalet has the value of 4, which also symbolizes the 4 directions: north, east, south, and west. Unlike Gimmel, who is the camel that can travel everywhere, who is the journeyer, the poor are expected to stand still. They are the exact opposite of Gimmel. Dalet has the same value as the Arba, or the fallen sparks, the angels who left their place in heaven and came down to dwell amongst the children of men. The house of Yahweh is what Dalet is supposed to be the doorway to. Yahweh means I will be whatever I become. I know a lot of Christian churches teach that I am that I am, but that's not really what it means. It means I am becoming. I will be whatever it is that I become. The Yod in Yahweh stands for the hand, or it is symbolic of a hand that can make and create things, that can do things, that has action. He stands for window. It literally means a viewpoint. Think about a house. If you have like 10 windows in a house, each window will have a different viewpoint or vantage point that it can view the world from. And so that is what the window stands for in Yahweh. And Vav, lastly, is a lock or a barrier, something that we need to get over. So taken together, we have 2 windows separated by a barrier, the Vav, and all of it represents the motion of the universe. Now, when I talk about motion of the universe, there are several examples I can give. In chemistry, we're very familiar with the periodic table of elements. And on one side of the periodic table, we have elements with high electron counts. They represent Gimmel. They are very rich in electrons. On the other side, we have elements that don't hardly have any electrons. They have 1 or 2 electrons. And these tend to be receivers. They are the Dalets of the periodic table. Now the Gimmels, when we have a chemical reaction, the Gimmel side that are high in electrons will give their electrons to the Dalet side, and they will share their electrons so that Dalet gets its electrons from the higher side. And all of this puts forth the idea, it is a principle that is found in Isaiah, that every valley shall be exalted and every mountain and hill brought low. And the crooked places shall be made straight and the rough places smooth. This is the promise of the kingdom, that everything that is high, that is the Gimmel, will be brought down, and every valley, which is the Dalet, will be raised up so that they're even, that they're on equal footing. And it is the key behind the whole idea of balance. Another example is light. Let's say that we have yellow light, which represents high energy. It is the Gimmel in this example. And we also have red light, which is lower energy, and it represents Dalet. Now the two combine, and by the yellow light sharing half of its energy, it actually gives half of its energy over to the red light so that they become something new. They come together and they fuse and they form orange. And the only way that that can happen is if the Gimmel side gives half of its energy over to the Dalet side. And so again, we see in the universe this dance of Dalet and Gimmel, which is a principle of motion behind all the motion in the universe. And of course, motion causes change. Therefore, Yahweh represents the becoming of the universe. Everything in the universe is becoming something else. And that dance of Dalet and Gimmel happens over and over again. Now, even though we can represent Yahweh as, or see Yahweh as representing all the universe and all the consciousness that is within it, we must remember that the physical universe in the Bible is only the footstool of Yahweh. It is the lowest realm of that consciousness can exist in. It is not the highest realm, it is the lowest realm. And it implies that there are other realms higher than our physical reality that we live in every day, and that this reality can be different. It can be something else. Now, we also have to fully understand that Yahweh is, we can't understand all that Yahweh is because our own idea of consciousness is very, very limited. We can only understand this universe. We can't understand all these higher levels of existence. And so it reminds me of the Bible verse that it says, "But who is able to build him a temple, since heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain him? Who am I then, that I should build him a temple, except to burn sacrifice to him?" And the him here in the Bible is the Tetragrammaton, the Yahweh. Yahweh cannot be contained by the heaven and the heavens of the heavens. In other words, all these existences that exist beyond this physical universe don't contain all of Yahweh. Yahweh goes even beyond those. But what about Dalet? What does Dalet mean in context with this universe? Well, Dalet is a state of being. It is the state of perpetual need. It must receive because it has nothing to give. It is impoverished. And it is dependent, like a child. Dalet is the state of childhood, or of being a baby, where that is completely dependent on its parents' love for its well-being. And the whole idea behind Dalet is that unless Gimmel learns to love the Dalet will suffer. And so this whole idea that we've been talking about the dragon and its purpose, human civilization hasn't reached that level of love yet. And since we are still within that cycle of Cain, that is being selfish, only looking at the needs of the self, the dragon then tests us to see how far we've come in our idea of loving our fellow man. Have we learned to love each other to the point where we can become like Yahweh? And the answer right now is we haven't gotten there yet, but we're moving towards it. Every step we take, we're moving towards becoming like Yahweh. If you want to know more about some symbolism, prophecy, hidden meanings in the Bible, or Kabbalah, please join us on Facebook under Jewish and Christian Symbology.